So this is where we start. We start with the manufacturing manager giving to the research and development department what we call a batch ticket. And it comes in with what the color is, which is in this case is phthalo blue turquoise watercolor. And I have a piece of paper to hide the formulation. I'm sure you will understand that. So this is the first step. Hello everybody, so we're in the lab today and this is Ron Harmon. Ron Harmon is the chief chemist and also R&D chemist at Daniel Smith. Ron's been at Daniel Smith for over 30 plus years. Ron is a wonderful guy. He's going to be showing us how paint is made. This in the laboratory is how Ron tests the batch before it goes out into production. So Ron, tell us briefly about yourself.
Ron Harmon, I've been here longer than I can remember sometimes. We have a good R&D lab, we have a good QC lab. I enjoy working here. I have 3 kids, all daughters, a wonderful wife.
So many of you ask many times, who is the person that comes up with the names that we use? And I tell you, if it's a single pigment that the manufacturer or the chemistry lab comes up with it, if it's more than one pigment, this is the man that's right here that comes up with the name. So Ron comes up with names of Moon Glow, Shadow Violet, Cascade Green. Those are all his creations. And if you've been with us a long time and you've seen any of our catalogs, you'll see, for example, our oils and our inks have thumbprints that actually show the color. Those are his big thumbs that are in those, making those thumbprints. So he's a wonderful guy. And now what we're going to do is we're going to show you how we make paint. Okay, so what we're going to show you here is, you can see in the jar right here, this jar, is the dried powder. And then the wet ingredients are in this stainless steel beaker. So there Ron is showing you the actual color. And again, we're making phthalo blue turquoise. So we're making phthalo blue turquoise, and there is the pigment for phthalo blue turquoise. And inside of the stainless steel is the distilled water, the gum arabic, which Ron will be mixing. And then showing you how the process, so let me get a picture of that too. Let me come in here a little bit. Okay, good deal. All right, so now we're gonna show you kind of what we do on the floor, but with smaller machinery. And then in the coming weeks, I'll show you on the large machinery. Okay, so you saw the batch ticket. From the batch ticket, there's a recipe on the batch ticket. Ron takes the batch ticket, or one of Ron's chemist assistants. We have multiple chemists, and he'll tell them, okay, go ahead and make this color. So now we're gonna make the color. So what we're gonna do here is Ron is going to mix this very, very small sample batch. And this is similar to what we're gonna do out on the floor. This mixer has a blade that's about maybe just a little less than 2 inches in diameter, and on the floor they're going to be 12 to 16 inches. So everything is huge from here in the laboratory versus on the floor. So here we go. We're going to mix the phthalo blue turquoise. Of course, outside we wouldn't be doing this in this fashion. Instead of Ron's hand, which shows you kind of the size of the stainless steel vessel he's using, outside it would be anywhere from a 30 to a 500-gallon vessel. So quite mammoth. But shows you the same principle. So Ron is going to mix this in a predetermined amount of length, then he's going to check it. So let me show you how blue that is. I'm gonna try to.
And then I'll spin off some paint.
There we go. You can see how beautiful that blue is. Okay, Ron.
That'll get a nice undertone color.
There we go. So now you can see the undertone of this particular color. It's a really beautiful undertone to it. Okay, whoops. Okay, so you kind of see the undertone of that particular phthalo blue turquoise. Very beautiful. Okay, so the next step Ron would do is he would test the grind. But that's going to happen after the 3-roll mill process that we're going to do next. So this machine right here is a mixer. The next machine we're going to show you is a de-aeration mill. It does two things. We want to force that gum arabic around each particle, and also we want to remove the air that's put in the mixture through this mixer right here. Just like home, when you turn on an egg beater and you're doing, say, a cake mix, and it fluffs up, we're going to want to get rid of all that air that's been put in by the mixer, and that's what this next step is going to do. So this machine right here is a 3-roll mill, and what a 3-roll mill does, again, is that de-aeration mill. There's 2 rolls that move against each other that cause a tearing effect, and one of them is a pickup blade. It picks up the paint and the material and brings it to what we call an apron, which is the V piece that Ron's going to point out. There we go, that piece right there. And as we do it, I'll turn the camera so you can actually see that, but I wanted you to see the rolls first. So Ron's going to put the mixture on. And again, this machine probably weighs about 200 to 300 pounds. And the ones that we have on our manufacturing floor are anywhere between 6,000 and 9,000 pounds, which kind of shows you the variance. This is a lab machine that we use to make our lab batches, to proof our batch before we move it on to the manufacturing floor. So here Ron is going to put the phthalo blue turquoise on one of the rolls. So I'm going to move the camera up so you get a better image of this. There we go. Let me move this here. There we go. Oh, there you go. So now you see it on the rolls. There's 3 rolls. And I'm going to take it back some. So now you can see it start coming down the apron. So just like on the main floor, the batch maker who would be making the batch is going to take the material and put it consistently back onto the rolls so that there is a consistent mix. And Ron's going to show you after this how he measures that. So here we are at a different angle of the 3-roll mill. You can see that the paint is on the apron. It's also on each one of the rolls. I'm going to have Ron start the machine one more time and point out the pickup blade versus the 2 tearing blades. So Ron's going to put some material on the machine. And here we go. So now Ron's going to point out the 2 tearing blades.
Okay, so the rolls. These are the two rolls that roll together. You get them, they're at different speeds as well as your tightness, so you get shearing as well as crushing action on the pigment. And then it transfers to this roll, which does a lot of the de-aerating here, and then it comes off on the apron here that has a razor blade going across.
Okay, so now you know how a 3-roll mill works. All right. So Ron, what are we seeing here?
So this is a grind gauge. It has Hegman grind that paint companies use. It has mils and then micron size. And so what we'll do is we'll put, it's graded from 0 to 8 on the Hegman scale. And what we'll do is we'll put some paint up in this area, and then using the drawdown bar, we'll draw the paint down into this trough, and it will tell us how good the grind is.
Would you point out the trough so people can see where that's at?
Yeah, it's right in between the letters. There's a little trough right in here. It's the same on both sides,
Okay.
so you can draw it down either side or both. Sometimes we do it both just to see two different drawdown or two different checks with the grind.
Okay, awesome. And that's a Hegman?
We use the Hegman grind.
Hegman grind.
Yeah, but it's the same as like microns. So that's the paint up at the 0. And we will, when the paint is good, it is good at about a 6.5 Hegman, which is about 18 microns.
And so what do you mean that it's, why do you want to get it to that level?
When you get to a 6.5 Hegman grind, that's where you develop your color vibrancy and your color strength. If you're below that, you won't have as much of either one of those properties. And if you go past 6.5, then you really don't gain anything, and it's possibly you could be messing up your color by getting it too fine.
Okay.
So this goes here, and we just draw it down. You know, this would go back through the mill several times. The grind's somewhere up in here around a 2.
Okay. So just as I was saying, this is a test that we're doing to show you how paint is made. And when I was saying that this is anywhere from 2 to 3 hours to 2 to 3 days, this is going to go back and forth between the batch maker and the chemist to make sure that we're getting to the number that the chemist wants, that 6 to 6.5. So as many times as it has to be pushed through the 3-roll mill, that's what will happen until we finally get to the grind that meets the approval of the chemist, and then they'll approve the batch and it can move to the next step. Okay, and so here Ron has done his drawdowns. I've shown many of you, if you've watched the Facebook series, you see all the drawdowns that I show. Those actually all come from the laboratory, and Ron or the other chemist are doing these. Again, up in this area, this is a wash, and this area, Ron or the chemist just gets a brush, they load the brush, and they just go back and forth until they reach the end. And that just shows you kind of the different gradation of this particular color. Now these are done, what Ron does is he takes 10 parts distilled water to 1 part paint by weight. So he'll measure out the paint, then he'll take 10 times that weight in distilled water, he'll mix that up, he'll load a brush, he'll do the wash, he'll clean his brush, he'll do the same thing again, load the brush, and then he'll do this right here. And he does that for every single color that he makes. And then I steal these from these and I bring them on the road to show people, because seeing color is just absolutely wonderful.